Hi, I'm Melissa with Mixin' Some Magic. I'm a Disney planning expert and I'm here to mix a little magic into your day. Each week I share Disney vacation planning tips, park strategies, and a little bit of Disney history sprinkled in. Of course, I like to include lots of Disney magic. Join me, let's mix in some magic. Hello and welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay, have you ever heard the story about Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen? Or maybe you have spotted one of those sneaky cats patrolling around Disneyland? Well, in today's episode of Mixin' Some Magic, we're going to be diving headfirst into the wild and crazy world of Disney park myths. From spooky ghost stories at the Haunted Mansion to secret tunnels under Disneyland, we're going to separate fact from fiction and debunk some of the craziest rumors to ever come out of the parks. You might be surprised about what is actually true and what is just a rumor. Stick around, things are about to get interesting. But first, we cannot start this episode until we talk about the huge Disney park news that just dropped, all about the Lightning Lane Premier Pass. So we have had the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Lightning Lane Single Pass, and now Disney just dropped the Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which is essentially just like Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, except for you don't have to make any reservations. You don't have to get on your app and say, I want to ride Space Mountain and this is my return time, and then you wait until you've already ridden it or 2 hours later to make another reservation. None of that. You can just show up to the attractions and ride them whenever you feel like it. So with Lightning Lane Premier Pass, you get to ride all of the attractions that are included in Lightning Lane Multi-Pass. Plus, it also includes the single pass attractions at Disneyland. That would be Rise of the Resistance and Radiator Springs Racers. So this is a great thing, except for it is so incredibly expensive. It's priced differently for Disneyland and Disney World. At Disneyland, it is for both parks, so it's for park hopping between Disneyland and California Adventure Park. At Disney World, it's priced out just for the individual parks. So at Disneyland, it is going to be $300 to $400 per person on top of your ticket. Now, people are losing their minds, of course, because that's what Disney fans do. When new things happen, then they get super upset. I don't know why. This is something that we've known was going to happen eventually. Every other amusement park already has this in place. I mean, SeaWorld, Knott's Berry Farm, Magic Mountain, Universal Studios, even Legoland has a pass like this. So it's a long time coming for Disney, in my opinion. And I think it just adds value. Nobody is forcing you to purchase the Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Not very many people will purchase it, so it's not going to affect the standby line wait times at all, and it's just another option. Plus, the good news is nothing is happening to the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, so you can still use that just like you used to. It just gives people an in-between, mid-range option now for skipping the lines at the Disney parks. So before we had standby line, or you could get the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, which is, I think, starting at $32 right now at Disneyland. Or if you really wanted to skip the lines, you could do a VIP tour, which is incredibly expensive. It's around $700 and up per hour with a 7-hour minimum. So that's expensive and out of the realm of possibility for a lot of families, my family included. And so now there is this option in between Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and a VIP tour for guests who want to use it. So I'm excited about it. I will try it out. I'm going to be trying it out actually in just a couple of weeks. I want to see how it works. And after that, I will likely never use it again because it is so expensive. But I like that there is an option for people. Now, I could see myself using it if my family was going to be visiting just for one day, because it would be cheaper for us to go for one day, use the Lightning Lane Premier Pass, and knock out the whole park in one day instead of going for like 3 days. If I was going to take my family for 3 days, then it would be cheaper for me to go one day and add the Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which would be kind of fun to like run around the parks and hit all the rides and not have long waits. So I could see me doing that with my family occasionally, but this isn't something that the average person is going to purchase often, and Disney knows that. They have done their research. They're not stupid. This is just another option for people who want to use it. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a great option, and that's all it is. It's just another option, and I think it'll be good. So I'm excited to try it out. I'm still like feeling a little, I don't know, maybe sick is the wrong word, but just like pulling that trigger on that $400 price to test it out. I'm still coming to terms with that, but I'm going to do it because I want to see how it works, and I want to be able to show you and tell you about my experience. So then you can decide for yourself, is it worth it for your family? Is it not? I mean, it really depends on the person. So I'm going to try it out. I'm excited, and then I'll let you know. We'll come back here and tell you everything you need to know so that you can make that decision for yourself. I have made a video explaining more details going into pricing specifically for Disney World and more about Disneyland and things like that. I can put a link down in the show description if you want to check that out. It will be right there. I'm sure you remembered, but just in case, Disneyland raised their ticket prices, but you can still lock in the lower prices until October 21st through my travel partners. So if you are visiting Disneyland between now and January 12th of 2026, make sure you get your tickets now so that you can get the lower rates. This can save you up to $125 per ticket, which is significant. So make sure you grab your tickets now so you can lock in the lower prices. I'm going to put a link down in the show description, or you can give my travel partners a call at 855-GETAWAY. Just make sure you tell them that Mix and Some Magic sent you to get the very best rates. All right, I hope everybody is ready for Halloween. Ready or not, it is coming. And I thought we would do a little bit of I don't think this is a spooky episode, but it's kind of, rumors, myths, legends. It's kind of on that Halloween-ish vibe, and I'm feeling very Halloween-y. So I'm excited for today's episode. I can't wait to talk about all of these myths and rumors and legends and kind of dig into them a little bit more, debunk some of them, verify some of them. Hopefully I have some things on here that you have heard, but you're not sure if they're true or not. We're going to talk about all of it. I can't wait. But first, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, then we'll get right into it. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Mix and Some Magic. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, Audible. I am now an Audible affiliate, and I am so excited about it. I've been using Audible for years, and I am really happy to have this chance to team up with a brand that I have loved and used for quite some time. If you love the magic of storytelling, but find it hard to make time for reading, Audible is your perfect solution. With Audible, you can listen to a huge selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and more, all from the convenience of your favorite device. Whether you're into thrilling mysteries, self-help, or epic fantasy, Audible has something for everyone because they have thousands of titles available. As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers and new releases. But that's not all. Members also get full access to a growing selection of included audiobooks, Audible originals, and podcasts. You can download or stream included titles all you want. Most of our Disney Book Club selections are available on Audible, including this month's title. And here's the best part. I've teamed up with Audible to offer you an exclusive deal. By using my special link, you can get a free 30-day trial of Audible. That's right, 30 days of stories, knowledge, and entertainment absolutely free. If you love podcasts, and you must because you're here, I know you'll love Audible. Just visit www.audibletrial.com/mixandsomeMagic to start your free trial today. That's www.audibletrial.com/mixinSomeMagic. I'll also include a link for you in the show notes. It's a fantastic way to discover the joy of audiobooks and to support my podcast at the same time. Happy listening, and thanks to Audible for making today's episode possible. Number 1, Walt Disney's cryogenically frozen head is located somewhere around Disneyland. I'm sure you have heard this one. I bet you have. The story goes that Walt Disney was cryogenically frozen and his body is hidden somewhere at Disneyland. The most popular story is under Sleeping Beauty Castle. Some people say maybe Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean. He's just around there somewhere. So what do you think? Is this fact or fiction? I always assumed immediately that this was just complete and utter science fiction, like just craziness. But I did see a show recently where people are actually being cryogenically frozen after they are dead in the hopes that there will be future technology that will be able to like reanimate them and bring them back to life. So there are people who have been cryogenically frozen. I guess you don't even need your whole body. You could just have your head, and the theory is that at some point they'll be able to bring you back. I hate to tell you that this is not true for Walt Disney, though. If you're one of those that was really hoping this would happen, it is fiction. It is one of the most well-known and probably bizarre rumors. I'm not sure where it started or why it spread. Probably because it's so bizarre is why it spread, but I'm not sure where people got this idea. I did hear this interview that Walt Disney did, or maybe I read it, where he did mention something about cryogenically freezing things, but he wasn't really specifically talking about wanting to do that himself. So I don't know where that all got started. But Walt Disney was cremated after his passing in 1966. So there's no truth behind the idea of him being frozen beneath the castle. And honestly, if he was going to be cryogenically frozen anyway, he would need to be in like a very specific environment that is constantly controlled by equipment and monitored by technicians to make sure that the right amount of whatever nitrous oxide, I don't know I just made up that word. I don't even know what nitrous oxide is. I better Google it. What is the stuff that keeps things cold? I have no idea. But they need to monitor that constantly to make sure that your body stays at the right temperature. And so that's just not going on under Sleeping Beauty Castle. Sorry, that is a myth. All right, next one is that there are hidden tunnels underneath Disneyland. The story goes, Disneyland has an extensive system of underground tunnels that get characters and cast members around the parks. They use it to get from point A to point B. So what do you think? Is this fact or fiction? This is mostly fiction. So while Disney World has the famous utilidors, which are like utility corridors under Magic Kingdom, Disneyland in California doesn't have this same network. There are a few tunnel services, but nothing like people imagine. It's not a huge, vast city underneath Disneyland that is just bustling with cast members. There are backstage areas, but it is not to the level that I think people imagine that it is. The idea of these utilidors, though, at Walt Disney World is pretty cool. So at Disney World, when they were building it, they knew they needed a better way to transport people, and so they built it totally differently, which is pretty cool. Number 3, the Haunted Mansion is actually haunted. My last Patreon member only episode was all about ghost stories, and we did cover one on the Haunted Mansion. So the myth goes that real ghosts haunt Disneyland's Haunted Mansion attraction. Now, who is to say if this is fact or fiction, right? Like, I can say it's fiction because I've never seen a ghost on Haunted Mansion, but what about the people who have? They're going to say that it's fact. So, do we really know? No. But most people who do not believe in hauntings or ghosts or spirits would say that it is fiction. The Haunted Mansion, of course, does have an eerie vibe, and there have been strange occurrences and sightings that have fueled rumors of real paranormal activity over the years, but most people would say that this is fiction. Although, if you have ever been stuck on the Haunted Mansion for a prolonged period of time, it does start to feel creepy. I got stuck once in the hallway that has the famous wallpaper, the purple wallpaper, and it has the doors with that are knocking and kind of moving. And it did get a little creepy. I didn't see a ghost. I kind of wish I had, but it did start to feel a little bit creepy. So I can see why people might think that it is actually haunted. The next one you may have heard of is that nobody dies at Disney parks. So this myth says that Disney has a rule that no one can be declared dead on Disney property because that way they can say that no one has ever died on Disney property. It keeps the park a little more fun, a little more happy if there's never been a death on Disney property. But this is fiction. The idea is that Disney wants to maintain the image of being the happiest place on earth, but like any other large operation, accidents do happen, and unfortunately, people have died at Disney parks. Now, I don't know the rules about being like officially declared dead and who is allowed to do that. Is it like a medical doctor that's like, call it, he died at 10:49 a.m. That's how it is in the movies. But I think lots of times it's just obvious that they're dead and nobody has to be like, yeah, he's officially dead. Nobody has to declare it to make it true, is my guess. I don't know. I have not looked into this, but I don't think that EMTs and paramedics who are trying to assist these people are probably really worried about calling out their official death. They're just trying to help the person and get them off property and to a medical facility where they can help them further. So people do die on Disney properties. Unfortunately, it happens. So that is just a rumor that nobody has actually died on a Disney property because no one's officially been declared dead. Number 5, I know you have heard of, is that people regularly scatter ashes at Disney parks. I've heard rumors of this happening at Disneyland and at Disney World. So is it fact or is it fiction? Surprisingly, this one is true for the most part. I don't think it happens as frequently as people might believe. I don't think this is an everyday occurrence, but some guests have attempted to scatter ashes, especially at the Haunted Mansion. I have actually had someone contact me and tell me that they scattered the ashes of a loved one in the moat around Sleeping Beauty Castle. You're not supposed to do this. Disney has strict rules against this, and if they catch you, then there are consequences. And if you scatter your ashes around the Haunted Mansion, what's going to happen is they're just going to close down the attraction and then they're going to vacuum up the ashes. So I don't know if this is the best place for your loved one, but it does happen on occasion, which is pretty crazy. Our next myth is one that I personally am still having a hard time coming to grips with. So I know you've heard this one before. They say that the original Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland used real human bones when it was designing the attraction, specifically the skull that is above the captain's bed when you're going past the captain's quarters. And to be fair, that skull does look different than the other ones. It looks more real. Surprisingly, this is partially true. When the ride first opened, some skeletons were made from real bones donated by medical institutions. Over time, Disney replaced them with more realistic-looking fakes, but some rumors claim that that one skull is still real. And I think the reason I struggle with this is because I want it to be real. I think that would be really cool if that skull was real. Wouldn't that be cool? I still tell my kids it's real. I don't know if they still believe me, but I think it's just makes for a better ride experience overall if that is a real skull. Now, logically, it doesn't make sense that it would be a real skull. That's not very respectful for that person who is deceased to have their skull on display in an attraction at Disneyland. Plus, I think it's kind of a health code violation. It's a damp, musty environment down there. There's a lot of moisture. That can't be good for skulls. Skulls can decompose. And so having a decomposing skull in an attraction where there can be who knows what kind of particles floating around the air, I'm sure that's a health code violation, which makes me very, very confident that this is a rumor, although it is one that I wish was true. The next one made me laugh. I had never heard this one personally, but I did some research on the internet, and this is a thing. It says that Club 33 is a secret Illuminati hangout. Ooh, that sounds serious. Club 33 is the exclusive private club at Disneyland, and it is said that it is a secret meeting place for celebrities and the Illuminati. I mean, maybe, who's to say? I'm not a member of the Illuminati, so obviously I wouldn't know the truth, right? But as far as I can tell, this is fiction. Club 33 is an exclusive club, and it has fueled many wild theories, but it really is just an elite dining club. But because membership is so secretive, that it kind of keeps these rumors alive. I have been to Club 33. I didn't see any Illuminati activity, but I mean, maybe that happens after I'm not there because I'm not a member. I don't know. I do think this one is fiction. Our next rumor is that Disneyland's cats protect the park from rodents. So the story goes that Disneyland has a secret army of cats that roam around the parks at night to keep the rodent population under control. So what do you think? Is this fact or fiction? This is actually a fact. Disneyland does have a colony of cats that are cared for by cast members, and these cats help keep the rodent population in check, especially after hours. If you're lucky, you may have seen one of these cats. I've seen them on a couple of occasions. Once I saw one over by Dumbo, in between Dumbo and the Storybook Land canal boats. There was a cat hanging out there. I've also seen one in Critter Country. So there you go. The cats do get fed by cast members. They get medical care, and so I guess it's working out. I did read that when Sleeping Beauty Castle was under construction, back when Disneyland was being built, then a little family of feral cats was found living in Sleeping Beauty Castle, and they kind of let them stay there. They did move them to a different location, but they didn't kick them out of the park, and that's how it began. So apparently these cats have been around since the beginning of Disneyland, and I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. Our next one is that you can stay overnight in Cinderella Castle. So the myth is that any guest can book a room to stay overnight in Cinderella Castle at Disney World. Is this fact or fiction? It is mostly fiction. So while Cinderella Castle Suite exists over at Disney World, it's totally a thing. And if you've never seen pictures of this beautiful castle suite inside Cinderella's castle, you need to go online and look at them because it is pretty impressive. So it exists, it is there, but it is not available to the public for booking. It's usually reserved for special promotions or contests or VIP guests, which makes me sad, but then at the same time, I'm okay with it because if it was available for regular guests to book, I would want so badly to stay there, but I know that that is out of my budget. I mean, if I can't afford to buy Lightning Lane Premier Pass, I definitely can't afford to stay in Cinderella's castle. So I like the idea that it is not available to me so that I don't have to daydream about it and feel bad. It is really cool though. So, I mean, if it ever happened that I won a contest and got to stay there, dream come true. It is a very cool place, but you just can't book a room there. Another story that has been around for a very long time is there is a hidden basketball court inside Matterhorn. They say that there is a secret basketball court hidden inside Disneyland's Matterhorn and that it was put there because when they were building Matterhorn, then whoever was in charge of the city was like, you can't have Matterhorn here because it's too tall, and the only thing that is allowed to be this tall in our city is sports complexes. And so Walt Disney was like, oh yeah, well then I'm putting a basketball court in the top, and then it's fine because it is technically a sports complex. That's the story that I've heard. That's the story that goes around. And it is true that there is a basketball court-ish inside the top of the Matterhorn. It is not a full-sized basketball court. It is not like a nice sports-style basketball court. It's a small half court that was, the area is just for cast members to hang out during their breaks. And at some point, someone threw a basketball hoop up there, and that's the whole story. So it's true, but not what people imagine. It's not a big, huge basketball court up there where people are running around night and day playing basketball. It's just kind of an afterthought. I would still love to see this in person, though. I don't know how I can make that happen. Maybe if I was a cast member, then I could go see it. I don't know. It might be worth it. I think that would be really cool to see. And I do love the story, though, because you can tell people, yes, there is a basketball court up there at the top of Matterhorn. And it's just such a quirky little detail that is a fun part of the Disney park lore. Another one that is going around is that Disneyland never closes, that since its opening day, then it has stayed open. Now, we know that this one is not true because of COVID, but before COVID, this rumor went around a lot, that Disneyland has never closed its gates since the day it opened. But this is fiction. Even before COVID, it was fiction. Disneyland has closed a few times throughout history for special reasons, including the National Day of Mourning after President Kennedy's assassination, and during 9/11, they closed out of concern for guest safety. So those are a few times it is closed, and we all know about the COVID-19 pandemic. It was closed for the longest time. Luckily, those closures are rare. I just crossed my fingers when I said that. But it is kind of just sad to think of Disneyland sitting there all sad and empty without any guests to hang out and enjoy it. The next one I want to talk about is the story that says you can't buy gum at Disneyland. Have you heard this? Have you even thought about this? So that's what they say. They say that you cannot buy gum anywhere at the Disneyland park. And this is actually a fact. Walt Disney didn't want gum being stuck to sidewalks and attractions, so it is never sold in the parks. You can bring in your own, which I often do, but you won't find it for sale. And I love this little detail that a lot of people, I'm sure, don't even think about or know, but it just kind of shows Walt's attention to detail and to wanting to keep the parks clean and well maintained. This next one I absolutely love. It says that guests used to be able to fish in Disneyland's rivers of America. So what do you think? Is this fact or fiction? This is fact. When Disneyland first opened, there was a fishing experience in Frontierland where guests could catch live fish, and then they got to keep what they caught. Can you even imagine? This was very short-lived. It didn't last long, and that's because guests had these fish and then they didn't know what to do with them. Like, what are you going to do with a fish at Disneyland? And so what they would end up doing is putting them in a locker because they were like, oh, I'll just come back and get this fish later, or putting them in the trash, and inevitably they would end up stinking, especially during the hot summer days, and you've got just the smell of rotting fish all over the parks. It's no wonder that they had to wrap this up really, really quickly. But I think it was kind of a cool idea that you could go over to Tom Sawyer's Island and you could do some fishing. I think that it would still be cool. I kind of think that maybe they could bring it back, but as a catch and release type situation, not you get to keep the fish. I don't know. I think it would be fun. But I do love hearing those stories of things that happened a long time ago, those things that used to be, and this is one of those that I really enjoy. The last one I want to talk about, I have read online, and it says that you can see Walt Disney's apartment light from anywhere in the park. The story goes that the light in Walt Disney's apartment window above the firehouse on Main Street can be seen from anywhere in Disneyland. Now, anyone who has been to Disneyland knows that this is fiction. Like there's no way this could possibly be real. You can't see it from anywhere in the parks, only from very specific spots right in front of Walt's apartment. But the light itself is real. The light in Walt's apartment stays on 24/7 to symbolize his enduring presence in the park. But like I said, it's only visible in certain parts of Main Street. I actually lied. That wasn't our last one. I have one more for you. Disney pumps scents into the parks as a form of mind control. This sounds serious. So the story goes that Disney pumps specific scents into different areas of the parks to control people's brains. What do you think? Fact or fiction? This is a fact. Maybe a little bit of fiction. It is a fact, though, that Disney uses a system called smellitizers to pump out scents like vanilla or peppermint or gingerbread onto Main Street, USA, to enhance the guest experience. But it might be a little bit of mind control too, because I don't know about you, but when I'm walking down Main Street and I'm smelling these yummy scents like vanilla or peppermint or whatever it is, it smells nostalgic and it just kind of boosts your mood a little bit, and you're like, oh man, I'm a little bit hungry. I should pop into that shop. There's Candy Palace. I should pop in right there and see what treats they have. I mean, it works though. I think we've all experienced this before. You walk by a popcorn cart and you smell the popcorn or churros and you're like, I absolutely have to have a churro right this very second. Disney knows this, I'm sure. So is it mind control? Are they trying to make us hungry and buy more things? Maybe. Or is it just to enhance the guest experience? Yes. So I'm going to say this is fact and fiction together. Fact and fiction. I don't know how you can combine those two words. But either way, I'm happy they do it. If they want to control my mind through vanilla scents, then I am all for it. All right, that's all I've got for you. All the rumors and myths. There are more. Maybe we'll have to do another episode like this sometime down the road. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you have a happy Halloween. I hope you get all of the candy you could possibly want. Does anybody else not buy the candy that they really like because they know they're going to eat it all? I usually do that, but there is some candy that I can only get at Halloween time, and it is my very favorite, and I buy several bags every single year, and then I save them throughout the whole year, and it is these little packages of Twizzlers. And these are not regular Twizzlers. These are not Twizzlers that you can buy every day at the store in the big packages. They are like the little individually packaged licorice pieces, not the nibs. They're like probably 3 inches long. And they are so good. They are so different than regular Twizzlers. I don't know what it is about them, but you can only buy them in these packages, and they're mixed in an assortment of candy. And I just want the Twizzlers. I just want the licorice. So every year I buy a couple of these bags of assorted candy, and I pull out the licorice, and then I have it. Look, you can't see unless you're watching this on YouTube, but I have a whole bag right here that I just keep with me, and I just eat it, and it's so good. Sometimes I start to hoard it though because I'm worried it's going to be gone and then it goes stale. So this year I'm not doing that. I'm going to just enjoy my licorice, and I love it so much. They're called Twizzler Twists. I don't know. If you see them in the bag, Buy the bag, try the Twizzlers. They are so good. That's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for being here. Next week will be a special Halloween Patreon member only episode. I had all the Patreon members vote on what episode they would like, and they chose Inside the Haunted Mansion Secrets Revealed. So I'm going to do a whole deep dive into the Haunted Mansion and talk about secrets, storytelling, details, all kinds of fun things about the Haunted Mansion. And I'm excited. Ooh, just thinking about it makes me so excited. So that is next week for Patreon members. If you would like to become a Patreon member, please do. I'll put a link down in the show descriptions. You get weekly episodes, you get ad-free episodes, and you get access to our Disney Book Club, plus fun giveaways, magic mail, things like that. And it is a really great way to support me as a content creator. I love my Patreon members so much, and I really appreciate them. All right, I'll be back next week for Patreon members with Haunted Mansion Secrets Revealed. For everyone else, I will see you in 2 weeks. We'll talk soon.